I wish we could say it was a record-breaking turnout for yesterday's election day, but it wasn't. Statistically, most of you didn't vote yesterday. Like 3/4 of Ada County didn't bother. These off-year elections see significant drops in ballots cast from general elections. Happens across the country. It's nothing new. But we've seen a recent surge in people moving into the gem state lately. A lot of them claiming to be politically active. But just where would these new community members lie when it comes to their party affiliation? We've heard a question from both Republicans and Democrats since 2019. Will a huge influx of new people change the political dynamic of Idaho's most populated county? That would be Ada. It's a good question. So we went to the expert at Ada County elections, Clerk Phil McGrain. And what's the likelihood of that party loyalty changing before next May's primary election? Here's Joe Paris.
In recent years, thousands of people have moved to Ada County from outside of Idaho, creating a question. Who will they vote for in local elections?
It is one of the really interesting things. We provide candidates and political parties lots of information and data about, what the participation looks like, including who's coming through the polls on election day. And watching that was one of the big things. I'm sure both political parties were watching closely.
Ada County Clerk Phil McGrain runs elections for Idaho's most populated county. He and his team are wrapping up the midterm election and noticed some trends among new Ada County voter registrations and their political affiliation.
We definitely see with all the population growth, especially in the western part of Ada County, that it appears to be continually getting more and more conservative, more Republicans.
McGrain notes there are interesting results in the midterm election, specifically in Boise.
I think arguably there's now a Republican on the Boise City Council with Lucy Willits winning her race over there. I think that's a reflection of those districts. But a lot of it, other races, I think people expected watching that the Lisa Sanchez and Greg McMillan race would probably be closer than it ended up, which is a reflection of just what downtown Boise looks like as well.
McGrain says he recently saw another anecdotal indicator of conservatives leaving California for Idaho because of state politics.
There's a slight slowdown in terms of real estate activity during the Governor Newsom recall efforts. And then immediately after that, there was a surge in people interested in home buying here in Ada County. And I think that's a reflection of politics just as much as it is anything else. And so we're definitely seeing that play out locally, just like we are on the national stage.
The focus in Idaho politics now shifts to the May 2022 primary elections, which features a collection of major races, including governor and lieutenant governor. As state politics traditionally show, the winner of the Republican primary does go on to win the general election. In recent years, the Idaho Republican Party has maintained a rule that only registered Republicans can vote in their primaries. Meanwhile, the Democrats have opened primaries that are open to any political registration. But because of the importance of the May primary, following midterm elections, there is usually community conversation about people changing their voter registration to a new political party. There is a lot of talk, but do people really change their affiliation to vote?
We don't see people change their parties back and forth very much. I know that we always hear talk about it, and I know you hear that for sure, but we don't see as much switching as people would think. Usually when people get in, they lock into a party. Really, the big thing, especially heading into May, is people choosing to affiliate if they want to, especially for those unaffiliated voters.
And maybe, Joe, because there's a process to this, you can't just walk into a voting place and say, today I'm voting Republican.
Yeah.
Or vice versa.
Yeah. So the people that want to vote in the Republican primary most likely are going to have to be registered as Republicans in the state of Idaho. The GOP party in Idaho will decide here in November exactly what the rules will be of their primary, but it's expected to be closed, meaning, again, you have to be a registered Republican to vote. Now, you may say, okay, well, what if I want to show up at the polls in May and say, well, I want to be a part of this. I want to have a say in this. You need to have your voter registration and your party affiliation done together in March.
Okay.
Now, if you register to vote ahead of that, that's great. But anything after March 11th, you can't go ahead and change back and forth. So the real idea here is by March, you need to decide who you're going to be a part of before the May primary so that you don't have these violent back and forth swings. But as soon as the May primary is over, people are welcome to change back their affiliation.
I was going to say, so that March deadline, when you lock it in there, you could still switch it before the November election, which is kind of what some people have talked about doing.
Yeah, and likely we will see that done. But again, November election, open to everyone.
All right. Thank you very much, Joe.